So what's the time? It's 6 o'clock on a Saturday evening. I hope everyone is doing great. So welcome to, do you know what the time it is? 6 o'clock. So it's time for In Harmony with Ershad. I hope everyone is doing great and welcome to In Harmony with Ershad on Air Television Network. So wherever you are, I hope you're having a great Sunday evening. Well, in Sunday, it's a little dreary. The weather is not that great. I mean, unlike last week, what we had, it was sunny and we had a great time. So it's more of a reason to bring some more entertainment to your house, wherever you are. Probably you're at home, working from home, or at work. Well, it's Saturday. I'm not too sure if you're at work, but, you know, even if you are working from home, probably it's time to take a break. So for the next 2 hours, I'm here with you. Sorry, I mean, first of all, I'd like to apologize. People who've been waiting for the last half an hour for the show to start. You know, sometimes things happen, but we are here now, so we can put the smile back on our faces. So I'm very excited today. We have some amazing guests, as always, and they're very unique in their own individual ways. And I would like to, I really can't wait to introduce them to you so you can enjoy their music, their creations, and they're all talented people. And I have some kind of connections, which we'll find out when we start the show and once I introduce you and through our conversation, you'd know about this one. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce our guest on the show tonight. And we have, in no particular order, first of all, I'd like to invite in the studio Dr. LEAH CARDOS. LEAH is a London-based music producer and a composer. Hi, LEAH. How are you?
I'm good, Ershad. Thanks for
having me. I'm great. Thank you. And it's a great pleasure and honor as well, I would say. I'm privileged to have you on my show.
Oh, mine.
So, LEAH, welcome. And, well, sorry to, as well, my apologies to you as well for keep you waiting for half an hour. Nearly. Yeah. So unless you have something important to do, so half an hour lost from the day.
I'll survive.
And where's the birthday boy, by the way? Dudley, your...
My little doggy. Yeah, he's downstairs. He turned 11 yesterday, so he's sleeping off. He's hungover. He's,
I saw that he had his cake, his own cake. So yeah, that was lovely. And I mean, I would like to, I mean, I was thinking probably, but he would be there in one of the music videos I'll be playing today, so people can see who I'm talking about. So, so I wanted to make an introduction about you, as you were born in Australia.
Yeah, I'm Australian. I've lost a bit of my accent, but it comes back. Yeah, I'm
it comes, definitely it comes. I mean, and I would like to also add to this connection that you had been my teacher as well at Kingston.
Yeah.
It's been my privilege. I learned a lot and really look up to you.
Oh.
I mean, one of the many very talented female music tech, I would say, in the audio industry at the moment. And you have made your place. So it's more of a reason that people who are interested in, especially women or female producers or singer-songwriters or audio techs, I mean, they would love to hear from you as well, what your obstacles were and how you come through.
Yeah, well, you know, there's a big problem with music tech and studios and live sound. There's not many women working in the industry. It's a big problem.
Was there any particular reason?
I think there's a couple of reasons. You know, we're taught from a young age that really technical jobs aren't suited for girls. And so girls
more muscle.
Yeah, having, you know, there's all of these misogynistic ideas about women not having technical minds. And so, you know, we're kind of encouraged to perform because that's, you know, a place for us if we're more emotional, or teach because that's more nurturing. And I think a lot of girls are put off.
Men do cry too, right?
Yeah. And I think another reason might be because those spaces have been male dominated, and that can be a bit hostile for women to be part of. That there's ways that men talk and ways that they act around each other, sometimes unconsciously, that exclude women.
Even if you see among men, I've seen, say, for example, a producer who's already established in his own right, and probably someone who's a junior, probably. I mean, it's daunting sometimes even to face them. The kind of air of arrogance they have. It's really hard, so you can imagine.
And, you know, this is something that happens in engineering. It happens in any kind of male-dominated field. And so it takes a particularly strong character to make it that far, because you have to go a long way in order to become successful in these places. And it's just tiring. I think, you know, girls find it tiring. And so part of the work that I want to do is to make spaces that are safe for all sorts of people of all genders, and trying to keep it inclusive, and to also demonstrate, you know, try and be something of a role model. To show that, you know, you can do it. It's actually a really great thing to do. And, you know, being a music technologist, working in studios is actually a powerful thing. You get to create, you get to make your own music, you get to be in charge of what happens. And that's something that everyone should be able to be part of. You don't have to be able to lift heavy amplifiers to be part of that world.
Yeah, and also being in academia, the thing is that you are teaching. I mean, even in the classes, it's male dominated. So
yeah,
you're teaching predominantly all the male students mostly, because even in the classes that we had only one probably female student. I mean, we had a few, but slowly we lost them. But there was only one left, and she did really great, and she is one of the great examples, I would say. I mean, how she came about. I'm talking about Carla, you know.
Carla,
yeah,
legendary. But you find this all the time. You know, there won't be that many that many women, that many girls in a group, peer group, or in a work scenario, but they're real strong. Like, you know, they've got a very strong sense of themselves, and
whoever stays back, that's the thing.
Yeah,
it's nerve-wracking. I've seen, because initially in the first year, people who were talking, and there were quite a few students we had, female students, but they're finding it quite hard increasingly, because most of the time people think that, okay, I'll take music major and probably, I have a good voice, I'll sing, and, you know, I'll get through it. But it's not like that. Yeah, the bubble can be burst very soon. So at some point they realize it's more than that.
And also, you know, egos are involved. Everybody who fancies themselves as a creative person or as an artist or a musician has to have a bit of sense of self-belief. Yeah. And there's a fine line between self-belief and ego. And so, you know, everyone gets checked. Everyone gets taken down a few pegs. That's what university does. It takes you down. And some people can't handle it. You know, some people are like, you know what, I don't want to feel like this. I'm going to do something.
I mean, I feel that experience makes you even humble. And that's a very valuable experience in life. I mean, which happened to me all the time. And I'm all for it. I mean, I'm like, okay, let's face it. All the challenges, and sometimes, you know, the failures always make you humble.
Oh, it's the failures that teach you everything.
Exactly.
You don't get better unless you fall over a few times. I firmly believe that.
So, Leah, I'm going to continue this conversation. There's a lot to learn from you, a lot to discuss about, and a lot more interesting music to listen to, and music videos as well. So I would like to invite the next guest to the show. And we have Rugile, all the way from Lithuania, but she's based in London. So Ru, I call her Ru.
Hi, guys.
How are you, Ru?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. Well, you ready for the show?
Yes. For quite a while I've been,
Yeah. Well, you're in London as well, so lovely weather. You must be enjoying that.
Yeah, it's raining beautifully. Like
raining beautifully, exactly. That's the way it is. Let's put it that way. So as I was saying, when I was introducing that, the guests we have tonight, they're very unique in their own unique ways, I would say, or individualistic way. So your one is, what I have found, you have an amazing voice. And when I was introduced, first of all, when I saw you in one of the classes, well, you be the one we were taking most of the time, sitting in the classes and going through and taking the lessons. But you'd be in one corner, sitting silently. It was hard. I said, okay, would she talk? No, probably not.
She
but
only sings. Sorry.
Yeah, she only sings. And then when she started singing, I found out she mostly sings hymns or Christian music.
That's right.
And you're offering to God, let's put it that way, or Jesus.
I sing to God, but for people.
Beautiful. I mean, the thing is that people are the creation of God anyway, right?
That's right.
And if you believe, if you're a believer, if you have a faith system, then definitely you should believe that God lives in his creations. Yeah. So all the more reasons. So you're singing to God end of the day. But how did it start? When you started singing at a very young age, did it start with this vision in mind that you'll be singing to God, but definitely you didn't have that? Or was it from the family that you have this idea ingrained in you?
All right. Let me just say that until about 16 years old, I'm just going to put it out blank. Every time someone told me the name Jesus, it just made me go, stay away from me.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know who you are, but I don't like you already.
Okay, wow. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was that strong. So it's more like God found me.
Why was that?
Well, I grew up in Lithuania, which is a very Catholic country, and I just didn't find it, like, it was not my style.
So growing up, you felt that it was already imposed on you, so you already had,
and
you were put off at a very early age.
Saying there's no, like...
No, I mean, many people have. This is how the transformation happened. So...
But, yeah, but I didn't feel God there. So I was like, well, if God is anyway, it's not there. That's what I decided in my mind.
Okay.
And I was wrong. I didn't find God there, but I'm sure he's there. He just allowed me to find him in a different place.
And when did it happen?
I was around 16, maybe 17.
16, you said that you were not, when whoever talked about Jesus or God, you were
that
quite...
was my breaking point.
Yeah.
I was like that, and then the same year...
Wow, that's very quick, I would say. That didn't take that long.
10 minutes conversation.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes, jumping into a conclusion like that or going into that is quite risky, but you stayed on. 9 years on, you're still there, and you are singing hymns, Christian music, and we'll be listening to many of your performances. And you never tried to sing any pop numbers, contemporary music, or any genre, anything?
Of course I did.
You did?
Of course.
But what stage are you in at the moment? Do you feel like that you won't or you can't, or what is it like? At the moment, how have you taken it on? Like, I wouldn't be singing anymore any other different genres apart from Christian music. How do you look at it?
I've been singing any kind of world music for most of my life. And eventually it got to the point where I felt God was like, okay, well, you learned what you wanted to learn. Now, can you do it for me?
Yeah.
And that's what I decided to do. That I've done it enough. I've picked up the skills I wanted from, like, non-Christian singers, and it's time to do it for God's glory because I just love him that much.
I mean, look, end of the day, that's the same language we speak. Everyone's talking about music, but however, or whatever you want to express through it, it doesn't really matter. So long it's not too much hatred, it's fine. Yeah, and I understand it's love for God, love for his creation. End of the day, you're spreading love.
Yeah, God is love. And let's just say, if I have a freedom of choice, which I do, like, then I'd rather sing about something I'm super passionate about, and that's Jesus.
Okay, if you have a freedom of choice, which you do, then what are you going to do again? Can you repeat? So I can attack you. I'm just joking.
I can't wait. Okay, so if I have a freedom
let's have a fight.
Which I do, then I'd rather sing something that I'm super passionate about, which is Jesus.
Okay. So the thing is that you have all the freedom. No one is asking you, no, you can't sing any other genres, but this is what you feel like from inside. So that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So everyone is free to do whatever they like. And so long you find your purpose and meaning in life, power to you.
That's a blessing. Yeah.
Great job. So we'll be listening to your music. I'll get back to LEAH now and coming back to you and I'll be listening to you live and also your music videos as well. So over to LEAH now. LEAH, once we have LEAH on the studio. Yeah, we have all of them. So LEAH, your music is more of an eclectic instrumental music. Even at a discussion we had, you normally said that it's really hard to categorize your music, put you in a particular genre. But what genre do you normally find yourself wherever you put? I mean, you are in band camp.
Yes. I make instrumental music so that it gets categorized for very small things. Like, for example, if it's a slow piece, then people will label it as ambient or classical. If it's got some beats in it, it might get put into electronica. And so you find my stuff getting playlisted all over the place, like in like IDM or trip hop or new classical, post minimalism, cinematic.
Wow.
It's crazy. So, but I just make music that.
But it's a good thing as well. I mean, you are in every playlist.
Sorry?
You end up being in every playlist. So that's a good thing.
I wish I was in every playlist. No. But when I do get playlisted, it's in like really random places, usually populated by artists that just do that thing. And I'm like this person that does a bit of this, a bit of that.
But are some of them desired, some of the desired places that you feel like, okay, I would rather not be there? Does it happen?
Oh no, I've come to peace with it now. I mean, there was this like website that had, you know, every sound.
So you did initially struggle, did you?
Well, no, I was categorized as new age, and I took offense to that. And I remember feeling like some kind of way, like I'm not new age. That sucks, you know. But actually, it's fine because you know, genres and categories are just they're arbitrary. They're just trying to get people towards the music that they want to listen to by various arbitrary characteristics.
There's a way of archiving, I think, makes it easier for them to know where to put things.
It's fine,
kind of. But your music, I find, I mean, even when I look at the music videos, we'll be listening to one very shortly or watching it. I find that it's almost like musical poetry, or it's like a musical narrative. So, because I would like to listen to probably Core to start with, because that's an amazing composition, first of all. And I was always thinking in terms of when you compose the music, do you at the same time think about the visuals?
Sometimes. At other times, I'm thinking about exploring a dynamic in the music. So with Core, for example, it was about playing the piano, but playing all of the sounds on the piano, not necessarily the notes. So I was really into the sound of the wood around the notes, the pedals coming up and down and stroking the strings in different ways. And it was really then about an exploration. It's like, well, how much, you know, sound world can I create from this instrument?
And you work with the limitations as I was listening, because that's one of your things as well.
It is, yeah. I kind of think, you know, well, what if I looked at this, and then the music itself becomes the exploration of that thing that I want to look at. And that really helps me out with my music, because
do you go so far as to change your instrument to a certain extent? Say, for example, if it's an acoustic instrument, do you do some modifications to it to bring that particular sound, or say damp it, or do something to the piano? Do you do it?
I will try and play it in different strange ways. I'll get inside it. I'll use it percussively. I'll pluck or scrape or dampen or add, you know, prepare with the pianos, because I'm a pianist. You can prepare a piano by putting stuff in there and making it rattle and do strange things.
No, definitely. We haven't said that because you studied piano at the University of Queensland.
Yeah,
that was predominantly that was classical piano, right?
Yeah, my whole background leading up to uni was classical piano, practice 4 or 5 hours a day kind of thing.
But during that time, were you thinking about what you're doing now, like synths, organs, keyboards?
Well, when I got to uni, I kind of just didn't, because it was what I was known for. I was just this pianist, and I would play in competitions, and I came from a small town. I did really well. And I was just always going to go to music college. That's always I was going to do. And then when I got there, I found all of these people that were better than me at the piano. And I just realized that I can't be bothered with this. Like,
now we're talking about the ego side, right?
Yeah, but also like I was so exhausted working so hard, and realized that, oh, you know, there's some...
You have to create your own niche, kind of.
Yeah. So I switched to composition and wanted to compose. And then halfway through my degree, I discovered the studio, and I took an elective module in recording, and at the same time discovered Brian Eno and a few other and just kind of that was it. I discovered what I really love, which is sound.
You're so lucky that it happened. We got you as a composer as well, and all this beautiful music. So in terms of the music videos, do you have your input in it, or is it down to the graphic designer or the music producer, sorry, the videographer or whoever?
So in the case of Core, that was a video that was devised by a great friend of mine called Matthew Greasley, who I used to work with in Bedford. And he devised the pictures, all the hard things, like, you know, a rock and glass and smashing, but like kind of what he was tapping into was the feeling of an impact, like really soft devastation, you know, shattering, but in a kind of beautiful, gentle way. And so it was the kind of violence, but really soft violence. And that's kind of, I really loved that. But of course, he did that in response to my music. But with other videos that I made most recently for Birdrib, for example, they're mine. So for that, it was like I always had in my head, you know, it's about birds, or it's about...
Birdrib came out this year, isn't it? In March.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And so for that, I did have ideas for visual things where I was thinking, oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were following it on Instagram. You're like, okay, even your faces, you know, you just combine it and then separate it. A lot of things.
Mirror images and things like that.
Yeah.
And I also had the artist had the painting of the bird, melting bird, and so I was looking at that. I work in Logic, and I had that picture in the notes area of Logic, and I'd be composing and looking at it and thinking the whole time, I want my sound to sound like this. I want my music to sound like this picture, and so always trying to connect the visual to the sound world. So that was very conscious, but it's not always that way.
So I think it's time for us to have a look at Core and listen to it as well. So yeah, so let's have a listen to Core. It's a beautiful music. We already have an idea what went behind it. So let's have a listen. Wow, that was great. And I love the music video, to be honest with you. The thing is, it was a great team, I would say, how you teamed up. And it had to be someone who could understand the composition and come up with something like that. How did it work? Did you find him? You already worked with him, as you were saying. You were working with him.
Yeah. I was working with him. And we also teamed up to do it as a live show, because that was my first album, Featherhammer. And I wanted to play it live, but I thought someone on a laptop with a piano is just not that interesting as an entertaining.
And it can go wrong as well. We've seen a video. I've seen that video.
Yeah, there's a lot of it which is me playing with samples and manipulating things, but somebody just turning a knob is not that entertaining really as a performance. So I thought having a VJ with images in the background would be great. So I bought this huge screen and big, like, a big like structure, and we both used these Akai APCs to control. So I was controlling the sound and he was controlling video, and we do it together, kind of opposite each other. And we did
that's nice. I mean, at least a nice visual whenever people are watching on stage. Something is happening.
So we had like a collection of images that were for core and a few others, and he kind of mixed between them, and it was like a journey.
Even during the live, was it kind of an improvisation in terms of the visual? Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's the captured version of one of them.
So what drew you towards this kind of music? Say, for example, this kind of instrumental, because I know your playlist or even the people you like to listen to, including Bjork or artists like that. So what, because you come from a classical background, so how were you drawn to it?
Well, I used to write songs and I was in bands as well. And I think
in Australia or in London?
In both, yeah. For a long part of my history is being a singer in bands.
Okay.
And I'd write songs with lyrics, and I just, I don't know, there's something I find more creatively satisfying working in sound and trying to articulate and express ideas through sound and music alone. There's something about...
That's hard work as well, isn't it?
There's something about putting words and lyrics on top, which to me...
overshadows the music.
Exactly. And I find that the music can be a little bit more poetic and can also just be a bit more interesting. And so I would gravitate towards that. And yeah, I just really enjoy instrumental music from my classical background. But also I really love modern instrumental music in terms of like film scores outside of the film context, and ambient music and all of this. So and also electronic music as well. So I'm a big fan.
No, definitely. I think that's the creativity. You can create things in a different way where you can literally, it's like a canvas, but this canvas you are painting with your music notes and how you are looking at it, what kind of sounds. Because I see you are into sampling different sounds, like very random sounds, and you use them in your composition.
And I find that, you know, when you don't have words explaining what the song or the music is about, then it can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people.
You were talking about poetry now. It's literally, as I was saying, musical poetry, because poetry is all about that to me. Because a particular word means something to someone, but when they're reading, they don't understand the meaning probably sometimes, because it comes from probably a very personal experience of the poet. But when you're listening, it's down to your interpretation, what you come up with.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's really, I mean, amazing. Yeah, please add to that if you want to.
Well, I was just going to say that, you know, I love pop music as well. As you know, I'm a big fan of a few artists in particular, but the ones that I'm drawn
David Bowie, definitely. I know. Bowie, I was introduced to him by you, to be honest.
But I'm drawn to those artists because of the painterly way that they use their words. They're not just singing about being horny or singing about being heartbroken. They're singing about different things and pulling words and sounds and music together. Plus, in the case of Björk and Bowie, their image and the visual and all of that coming together to me is really powerful. And it means that the song can mean different things to different people. And that's kind of what I like about being a composer and a producer. I can work with chords and melodies and rhythms and structures, but also sounds and timbre, and, you know, having a sound that you can identify where it's from or where you can't identify where it's from, if it's an echo or a reverberation.
And that's the music technologist in you, I guess.
Yeah, and I love all of that. I feel like that's it can be expressive, and I enjoy creating that way most.
No, that's really interesting. The whole the creation process of it, behind it, and I would say the philosophy behind it. It's really inspiring for people who are thinking, and because sometimes when people listen to this kind of music, because people are so used to the lyrical music, and okay, there should be a lyric, someone should be singing, and I should be memorizing, there should be a verse, chorus, bridge, or something. And if it's just like that, so they sometimes get a bit shocked, or sometimes people are not really a big fan of that kind of music. So, but what goes behind it, that's the thing to know from you. It's really something. So Leah, I'm coming back to you again, and we'll discuss more about that. And I'll go to Rue now. We have Rue waiting for us, and it's time, probably, Rue's first music video. So yeah, we'll listen to you live as well, Rue. So you might be getting ready for that. But first of all, your music training started with, you are part of a choir, did you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was part of the choir in Lithuania for a long time.
But then did you had formal training there, apart from the choir, like going to someone, taking music lessons? How did it happen?
So it was a music school. And choir was just part of it. I played the instrument as well, just clarinet.
It's an interesting demonstration. While you were telling me, say, for example, how your singing changed. Say, when you came to London or at Kingston, especially when you had vocal coach, and how you perform now, how you sing. And could you just give me a demo in terms of like when you were singing in a choir, how you were doing the same thing and how things changed? What's the transformation?
I knew you're going to ask me that.
Yeah, since you know that, so you're prepared for it. So there's no problem. Okay, I didn't really throw a curveball to you, so that's fine.
All right. I hope I will not exaggerate, but so in the choir singing, you want everyone to sound the same, and that's normal because, I mean, you have to blend, right? So I'm just gonna give like a few lines of the song I will be singing. Okay, so this is the choir version. I mean, it will still be beautiful because there's lots of harmonies and everything, but yeah, here it goes.
Perfect. Yeah, let's have a listen.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You were so kind to me. I'm sorry, too much vibrato. It shouldn't be me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, now that's part of you now. That's how you transform, I would say. So if you do the same thing now after your training, I mean, how things have changed for you now?
You know what? I'm going to leave it till I actually perform. Because it's going to be the same song, so you'll hear it.
Okay. All right. So I think it's time for us to listen to your first song. If you could introduce Come Thou Ready, that's the one.
This is the same song, and it's called Reckless Love. And can I just say that Christian music is like the lyrics is the big part. Because it tells the story or it delivers the message. So so this one...
So it's historical, all the stories there that's been part of Bible, that's the story it talks about. Okay.
Yeah. So this one is called Reckless Love. And this is really from the human perspective. Because, I mean, there's not so many people who love others unto death. So for us, it looks reckless. But in all the honesty, it's a perfect love. So just...
When you're ready to sacrifice yourself for that, that's what you're saying.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, let's have a listen.
All right.
That's time for Rue's performance on her music video. Let's see.
Okay, time to worship. Okay, guys, just a little disclaimer. That's not the song, but enjoy.
Come the fount of every blessing, turn my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mountain fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. He erased my Ebenezer, Hither by thy help I've come, and I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God. He to rescue me from danger, interpose his precious blood. Oh, to grace how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy goodness like a fetter bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, oh, take it, seal it. Seal it for thy courts above. Turn my heart, mercy never ceasing. Call for songs aloud as praise.
Wow, that was great. And
Praise God.
it wasn't reckless, but we meant what we were meant to play. We played that one. Yeah, we got mixed up, but that's fine. We've been
I was
listening to
so ready to
Reckless in
sing,
your own
you know?
voice anyway. So it was, I mean, now what's your plan going forward? So you'll be creating, I mean, how do you want to make use of this amazing voice you have and the songs, and how are you going to spread the message through your song?
I mean, I'm gonna let God make use of it. And well, I really don't have like rigid plan, to be
Mhm.
honest. And yeah,
You're waiting for a sign?
yeah. Normally 3 signs.
Okay, explain that. Clarify a little bit. How does
You
it
know,
work?
because when you get 1, you always doubt. When you get 3, it's like, okay, I hear you, God.
Okay, you have the thing with 3 as well. I have the same thing, you know? I mean, I don't know what's with, I mean, no one told me that, okay, it has to be 3 times. So I always feel like, okay, twice, okay, number 3, I need another one, then I can,
It
then
is a very symbolic number. It's,
symbolic,
the
okay.
Holy
And probably
Trinity.
for me, it's like an OCD. I'm like, okay, I have done it twice. I have to do it 3 times as well. Well,
Right.
not with bad things. That's not it. Because they say if you make a mistake, if you do it again, second time knowingly, it's stupidity. So I just don't continue that 3 times. Well, apart from that, yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Okay. Yeah, bless me. Oh my God. Yeah, you have this serious look. You're like, okay, Ershad, you're blessed. Don't worry about it.
I was working on it, but anyway.
Yeah. So the Reckless, since we were about to have the live performance from you, how about that? Can we listen to Reckless in your voice now?
Yes. You know, I was
Back to back
so
performance. People will be so enjoying it.
awesome. I was so ready to sing, and I see the video, and I'm like, oh, I might just relax.
Yeah, you can.
So, okay. So I got the introduction out of the way.
It's like a
and-
mixtape, you know?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Here it comes.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You've been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You've been been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. And I couldn't earn it, no, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. When I was your enemy, still your love fought for me. You've been so, so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You've been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves a 99. And I couldn't earn it, no, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Reckless love of God. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after us, Lord. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after us. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases us down, fights till we found, leaves the 99. And we didn't earn it, no, we don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Reckless love of God. Perfect love of God.
Thank you, Lord.
Amazing, Rue. Amazing. Loved it. That's a pure expression of love to
Coming from my
God.
heart.
That was really good. Definitely. And people can see that. And it's such an interesting thing. Say, for example, especially we're going through this crisis. So everyone has their own means of finding the peace within.
Better.
So some people are creating things and you're so fortunate to have someone. So superior, I would say, because in terms of that, when you feel, if you are a believer, then he's living inside you. So all the time he's guiding you. As I've seen, every time I talk to you, it's almost like you said, okay, I need a sign, and he would tell me, and this would happen. It's an interesting way of, yeah. And I think it's your guiding light. And we could hear that in your voice as well, and your love for God as well. That was very evident. So we already have a caller. I think this caller would like to share some message for both you and Leah. So welcome, Esther.
Hey, Ershad.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Rue. Hi, Leah. You guys are incredible.
I think they can hear you. Can Rue and Leah, can you hear Esther?
Yes, we can. Hello.
Okay, yeah.
It's okay. I mean, you can tell me, because then if I don't acknowledge, then it's just because I can't hear you. I can just hear you, Ershad.
Everyone can hear you.
Okay, good. All right, good. How have you been?
Yeah, we're fine. So far, so good. Life not that easy all the time, but
No, this
it's going
is
well.
I mean, it's interesting. I was I watched almost everything because I arrived quite late in the office. It's been a little crazy recently, but that's okay. We
Esther,
like crazy.
by the way, I'd like to
it.
introduce Esther is the director of Fitzroy House in London.
Sorry.
And it's a museum. And if you can add to that, Esther, sorry, you know it better than I do.
I mean, really, it's a museum that has that used to be Mr. Hubbard's historical offices from the 1950s. The philosopher and writer Mr. Hubbard, and but it was opened up as a community center as well, because we have several floors of beautiful event spaces restored back to their old original style. And so we have a lot of community events, mostly through the arts, poetry events, interfaith events, and it's been a really, really nice experience, which is obviously how we met. And
it was my privilege to perform there as well. It was great.
Sorry?
It was my privilege as well to be able to perform.
Yeah, we had you there and several other wonderful artists. And anyway, obviously we're not open yet, because museums and community centers will open towards the end of the month, or possibly a little bit after that. So we've had the opportunity to get ready for this. But I've also had an opportunity to study a lot more on the subject of the arts. And, I carried on playing music myself as well. And obviously your show has been really good, because it keeps everyone connected. And
keep everyone in harmony. That's the goal.
Pardon?
Keeping everyone in harmony. That's the goal.
Well, exactly, yeah. And I think that's a really good thing, because with the amount of, I don't know what you want to call it, madness or people being fixated on whatever it is that's going on out there, I think the best thing to do is that we all pull together, we all stay safe, and we all look after each other. And one way to do that is definitely through the arts. I think that, just listening to other people performing, even if you're not a musician yourself, the point is that the aesthetics bring you so high, and they bring you up to a different level where you can connect with someone. Like, I'm from Holland. Let's say I don't speak English, and the performers today, they're from their countries, but there is a musical connection there that I feel and that I can perceive, which is absolutely beautiful.
Great, thank you.
It's very clean. It's a very clear communication, and even if I don't necessarily understand something in another language, music is universal. You cannot argue with that. And anyway, I thought it was cool. I have made it a habit now to get you a quote every week to something that inspired me. And one of the things from Mr. Hubbard from 1956 was actually, it's in the depressions that great movements come forward. It's in the depressions that old regimens are overthrown. It's in the depressions that people are willing to learn. And out of such a depression, a whole new culture will arise. And here we are, all locked at home and stuck inside. And the amount of creativity around the UK and the world has been incredible. And had this not happened, I would have never heard these two beautiful women today. So there you go. That's an acknowledgement for them.
Thank you, Esther.
Thanks, Esther.
Oh, and I wanted to say something interesting. I was looking up, Rue was saying about needing 3 signs. It says the meaning of the number 3. I happen to just look this up now. It says 3 is the first number that forms a geometrical figure, the triangle. 3 was considered a number of harmony, wisdom, and understanding. Wow. And I think that you're bringing all 3 of these to the show right now, Ershad.
Yeah, thank you.
I think hopefully this is a sign, because Rue, keep going. You're amazing. You have a beautiful connection. It's clear as a bell.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Esther. Thanks for your lovely message. You have a great evening. And hope to
Yeah, no
have you
problem.
again next week on the show and with some lovely messages and with some amazing guests
we'll
again.
see. We'll see you then.
So,
Otherwise,
and keep
thank you
watching
again
as
for
well.
this wonderful show.
No
Yeah,
problem
we'll
at
keep
all. You're
watching.
welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care. Thank you,
You
Ershad.
too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. So, with this lovely message from Esther, I'd like to go back to Leah and now to continue on the conversation that we are having in terms of Leah's composition and the process that Leah follows.
Oh.
Leah, your album came out, the first one that came up in 2011.
Yeah.
But interesting thing was that as we were talking about, you want to explore different limitations. Say, for example, in 2013, Machines, it was based on spam emails as lyrics.
Right, yeah.
And in 2020, Bird Rib is even more interesting that where you explore the use of reverse previous compositions.
Yeah.
So what, again, that's again the mindset that you have. And do you come up with these ideas? Even I understand for your PhD. And I think you had very interesting experiment that you have done for that one as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Featherhammer came out while I was completing my PhD, and the PhD research was really looking at creativity and sort of how it works, how I can tap into it, what I find inspiring, and that project was really special for me because it led me to connect with the piano again in a different way. So I found that very inspiring, just looking at the piano as this like potential for a whole sound world on its own and not just, you know, an interface to make notes happen. And then, yeah, it just helps.
Were you trying to, I mean, so far as I know, were you trying to find a connection with your hand and how it's hitting the piano?
Oh, yeah, yeah. There was all sorts of things. There was like my background wrapped into it. I had lots of like muscle memory from so much practice.
Mm-hmm.
I had lots of like chords, like Debussy chords and Chopin stuff and exercises and scales that I was really looking into, like, you know, if I was at a piano shop and I went up to a piano just to listen to it, what would I play? And then looking at that and going, well, that's quite interesting. What do my hands want to do on their own if they're totally disconnected from my brain?
You let them be on autopilot. Okay, whatever you want to do, let's.
Exactly. And so I made whole pieces out of that. I captured a lot of improvisations.
We are guilty of that all the time, especially. I mean, I play the guitar. And this is one of the things we are always taught, okay, don't follow your muscle memory because we can go on autopilot if you're left, you know, we can just keep on going and without following anything. Just don't even listening to the composition sometimes. It's like, okay, I know that's A minor. Okay, let's do that, you know? So, yeah, please. But in terms of Bird Rib, which came in March, and you explored. How did you do that one? When it's previous composition, when you say, is it your own composition or someone else's?
Well, it was on a tape reel. So I had a radio station in Sydney ask me for a mix of my music for a 40-minute show at like midnight or something in Sydney. And so I put it together and I mastered it to tape at Visconti Studio. And then that tape just sort of sat around as it does in the studio, and I was using it to teach with. And one day I was teaching a student, Pandora, one of my favorite students, about the tape machine. She wanted to master my music, so use my reel. We put it on backwards and we put it on half speed by accident.
Haven't I done it? I've done it too. I
was listening to it and I thought, I love this. This is my music, but backwards and half speed. I was like, oh, that sounds really good. So
did you find some message in it?
There wasn't so much a message as it was just like something that I'd created that I was seeing from a different perspective, and I really liked it, and I thought there was potential there. So I put it quickly into Pro Tools and kept it, and I kept it for like a year and a half, thinking I'm always going to do something with it. And Bird Rib finally came together.
But say, for example, if you try to do the same experiment with someone else's music, say a music was already published, what about the copyright issues? I mean, still there will be infringement, isn't it?
Yeah, well, my labels, you know, they did say it's a bit of a copyright nightmare, but at least I and they together, we own the copyright, so it was fine. I could give myself to sample myself, so that was easy enough. But yeah, I mean, it can be difficult to figure out what the original sound is when you mangle it so far.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So it's hard to find. But nowadays, when people can even see one chord or at least two chords back to back, they say, okay, this is from my composition. It's been stolen, even though chord progressions are quite universal. Yeah. But it's very sad. What's your take on that one? I mean, what do you think?
Well, it is tricky to know what's intellectual property that you own, that's yours, that you authored, and something that is a trope that exists that you construct music with that everyone has access to. So, for example, the blues is a chord progression that no one owns. Everyone can
145 or jazz 251, things like that.
When it gets to court, in some cases, they're making the argument, you know, that this is free access. This is just a trope. This is just a building block of music.
Yeah.
People are saying, no, it's intellectual property.
And they're winning as well.
Yeah, well,
Sadly.
it's tricky. It's difficult. You know, people will steal. And also people will do it unconsciously. You know, they might absorb sound. This is famously what George Harrison claimed he did when, you know, he supposedly stole He's So Fine and made it into My Sweet Lord.
Because ingrained in our memory, at some point when you're composing something, it comes out, and even subconsciously, you don't know about it.
From exposure, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is tricky.
The wake-up call is only when you get sued for that one. So that's when you're, oh, okay, that's what happened.
I've been there. Like I've got a friend who I write songs with, and I would work all day and like think, no, this is the song, and then we look at each other and go, no, that's a Cheryl Cole song.
Oh my God.
And you know, like, because these are just ideas that come to you when you're being creative, makes sense. But
how good is it for creativity? So how can someone, I mean, it's really hard, isn't it? You're sharing the story. It feels really bad that you're struck by some creative juices flowing. At some point you feel like, oh, no, I can't do that one because it sounds like that. It sounds like this. So what do you think in terms of people who are trying to create? Probably if they start, that's the building block. And going forward, it could have been something totally different. But you couldn't even start on that because you felt like that it resembles some other sound.
Well, I mean, obviously the idea came to me because I'd heard it, you know, it made sense to me at that time to put that melody with that chord and we sing it. No, that sounds good. Actually, no, I have heard that before. So, I mean, you just have to, I think you just have to admit that the creative process is more complex than just, you know, writing something from scratch.
And with some
always building on what you've heard before and what you like and your tastes and your preferences. And that can get really murky. You're trying to be creative.
There's, I don't know if you have seen him on YouTube. There's a guy called Rick Beato in America. So he was a music professor. He had like 1 million subscribers within a year. He's such a knowledgeable person. He's a jazz guitarist. He's a pianist. And he's a music producer as well. Amazing. I mean, whole studio in his own house. It's amazing. But yeah, now he's just doing YouTube videos and lessons as well. But he discusses sometimes, analyzes different songs from bygone eras. But most of his songs gets blocked now. Even when he plays them, the videos gets blocked. So that's this algorithm, how it works on YouTube, that how it picks up the intellectual property. It's really, these days, I don't know how conducive it is to creation. But okay, let's talk about something else. In terms of the lockdown.
Yeah.
So when the lockdown started, we never expected that it's coming. So how did you take it? I mean, what was your initial experience?
I thought it wouldn't last that long. I had tickets to go to Singapore to work in May, and I thought that's 70 days away. It'll blow over by then. I was really not prepared. I didn't take all my gear from work. You know, the studio where I work, Kingston. So yeah, but I'm lucky in the sense that I have a house and I've got a backyard. And so lockdown, in terms of it being an experience to be endured, for me, a lot easier than most.
And you had been creative as well. I mean, you had a series started that you started, Isolation Portrait, I guess. That's during the lockdown?
Yeah, so I was asked, but because my album just came out and then I couldn't promote it, I couldn't do any gigs or anything like that because of lockdown. But this Italian festival asked me for an isolation portrait, and had no technology. My computer that I usually make music with broke, so I only had this like MacBook Air, which is not very high. I downloaded a
GarageBand. Okay, okay. I thought it's GarageBand probably.
Yeah, a trial version of Ableton, and then I hooked an old keyboard that I had in the attic, and so it was just for me, very low tech.
No, I mean, it works for you basically because you want to explore the limitations and what comes out of it. So it definitely works for you.
Sure.
So I would like to listen to that because there are quite a lot of composition during that time. Isolation Portrait 1, 2, 3, 4. How many did you do?
So I did 5. I did a 25-minute set. and it was all live with just looping, a looping interface.
Oh, it was a set. It wasn't separate individual videos. It was just part of one string.
Yeah, it was just one set, but I separated it out because when people are looking online at things, they're not going to sit down for 25 minutes and watch me do a loop. So I split it out into the individual tracks afterwards.
I mean, there are a few definitely that I really loved, but I'd like to probably share with the audience and whoever is watching the show tonight, Contact Mike.
Sure.
That was interesting. And also they will have an insight into what kind of mindset you have when you try to perform and how you sample your sounds and things like that. I mean, it shows kind of. Definitely you work with them later on. So let's have a listen. Probably watch Contact Mike. That's Isolation Portrait 2. Okay, so when we have that one ready, we'll have that one on screen. I think we have that. So yeah, let's see if it's coming. No, that's the hardest part. And when I start talking about it, it'll just straight away, it will pop up.
It'll just come out.
Yeah. No, I mean, Isolation Portrait, we'll keep on talking. In the meantime, you can add some more information about this one. So did you use different sounds, different elements as I've seen? Literally, did you use them?
Yeah. When I did the original Contact Mic, it was at my office at work that I did it, and I used a Contact Mic. That's why it's called that. Did the sounds a little bit differently there, but I could only work with what I had at home. But when I did Birdrib, I was doing lots of household sounds, lots of kitchen sounds, glass, bottles, jars, cutlery, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I really love. I remember the class for sampling we did. It was really amazing. And in terms of we were just doing drawers opening and this, that, making sound, paper ripped. So let's see if we have that song ready. So yeah. So we are going to listen to Isolation Portrait 2, Contact Mike. So if you're ready for that, let's have a listen. Yeah, I think we are. Is this the one?
Oh, that's not it, but that's cool.
Yeah, that's Isolation. That's Isolation Portrait 1, I guess.
Yeah.
That's Retracing Your Lines.
Yes, this hasn't been released yet, actually. This song comes out in September as a single on Big O.
Wow. So it was meant to be. Probably we were supposed to listen to that.
So this is a piece that's sort of built on up here. They loop each time. So once one goes around, put some more on until it becomes one.
Wow, lovely. So definitely, I think it brought us down to we have to talk about this one.
Okay.
So as you were saying, it's looping. So how did you do that?
So I was using this little interface called a mini APC. And so unfortunately it was out of shot, but every time I played, I programmed in the number of bars the loop was, and I think it was like 30 bars or something, 32 bars. And then I would just tap in the next one and tap in the next one and then build it up. But the song itself was produced just at the start of lockdown.
But the starting point every time for the next phrase, what is it in a different place?
Some of them I ended a bit early so I could catch the beginning of the next one. But that was a longer version. I think the version that's going to get released in September is like 3 minutes. But of course, I can't play more than one thing at a time. So it took a long time to sort of lay it down. But
is it possible to perform them live as well?
Well, yeah, that is a live performance what we just saw.
Okay.
So it is possible. It just takes a little bit of,
okay.
some planning.
Once we play the contact mic, was it live as well?
Yes, they're all live.
Yeah. Wow. Great. So yeah, I look forward to that one as well. Contact mic. When we get that one ready, we'll have a listen and we'll see. Because you have a few covers as well. Because I've seen one cover. Then we still have to talk about some of your project from last year. Say, for example, the Kingston University Stylophone Orchestra. I was a part of that. That was something that is very close to our heart. And we've performed a few gigs and it was really amazing.
It was amazing. Crazy, really.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about this one. Let's get back to Rue so you can have a break. So let's have Rue back on the studio so we can discuss with her. So Rue, how are you doing in the meantime?
Yeah, you kind of just caught me off guard. I was still in the thought processing the piece.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's great. I mean, that's what musicians do, or the creative personalities. I mean, that's how we are all the time. You're thinking, you're making things. And in terms of LEAH's music, her creation, how does it inspire you? And what do you think of that from your perspective? Or a musician who think like that, definitely. Because if you think about that from a faith perspective, I would think you would think that probably God has given that particular thought process in our mind, or the creative process, whatever is going on in our mind, and that came from somewhere external, or it was already within. So how would you look at it? It was within or without? I mean, it came from outside, or it was already inside?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Just thanking God for I was listening to it and I was like, this is so beautiful. Thank you, Lord. I mean, I know it's LEAH's piece, but I mean, he's the originator of everything, of every good gift. That's what the Bible says.
But that's an interesting thing. I feel like that if he's the originator. I mean, as you're saying, I'm not really debating anything now. So what I'm saying is that, so why do you think different things are gifted to different people? Because what makes them think that, okay, I'll give this person that one, and to Rue this voice, and I mean, I know that's a hard question for you to answer. You said, okay, Ershad, don't ask me that question. I don't have the answer. Ask him.
I can, yeah, it's pretty much that. But the thing is that I was in that situation too. I was questioning. A little secret, I didn't like my voice for a long time. So I was telling God, why did you give me this?
Okay.
Why nothing like that? Not something like that. But
something like who?
Oh, wow.
Let's listen to who's your favorite singer, or who you wanted to be initially.
So I was only questioning God on that when I was small. And at that time, I was listening to lots of Whitney Houston. You know.
Okay. All right.
Well, good thing she also sings about God. But God kind of did answer me this question later on, is why he didn't give me all the things that I wanted. Is so I wouldn't be so self-absorbed, so I would need more other people more. Because if I had everything that I would,
Exactly.
I
So
would
you're
just be on
self-sufficient. You're not dependent on anyone
exactly.
else.
And
Okay,
I
that's
would
an interesting
definitely
explanation,
not,
and I love that.
I would definitely not be depending on God as well if I
Yeah.
thought that I could do everything on my own. So really, like,
But
not
I
getting
believe that if he's the superpower and he's the omnipotent, as we say, so definitely there's something he would always, you can't really go beyond, probably. So yeah, there's no possibility for that. But that's a very good explanation in terms of that one. Yeah, to keep something, because all of us have some voids, some lackings.
Yeah.
So there's someone else who can complement us in a sense that whatever we are missing, we are dependent. So that's how I think it brings harmony within the creation. That's an interesting concept. I love that. So, what are you going to perform for us now?
Okay, so let me get it ready. So the other song is about this great exchange that happened on the cross. So, I was actually thinking about this idea whilst I was listening to the first LEAH's piece.
Cool. Yeah.
It was the Lord loves to work in paradoxes. So, and her soft music and the breaking stuff was kind of.
So when you say, sorry I mean, I keep on going off at a tangent. So when you say that love to work in paradoxes, how does it work? Give me an example for us to understand it better.
Okay. So in order to surprise humans, you have to do something not
miraculous.
Quite, yeah. And the paradox is such thing that it always surprises you. So I think that's why God loves to use them. It's like when he loves to use people also who are like...
It's a contrast.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I saw in Leah's piece as well. It was a contrast, the paradox of soft and... Yeah. So this song is that I'm going to perform is also kind of about that contrast and... yes, which happens.
What is it called?
It's called His Life for Mine.
Okay.
So the song talks about how God decided to exchange something really not worth taking, and just so we can be with Him. Okay. So He exchanged.
And as you, I think, initially said that the extent of love when you are ready to sacrifice yourself. So yes, that's again the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So the chorus just asks this big question, like, how could it be? And of course, the answer is love. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it because you put your soul into it and such a pure performance. Let's have a listen.
His heart was broken, mine was mended. He became sin, now I am clean. The cross he carried bore my burden. The nails that held him set me free. Here's a life for mine. Here's a life for mine. How could it ever be that he would die and God's son would die to save a wretch like me? What love divine! years of suffering brought me healing. He spilled his blood to fill my soul. His crown of thorns made me royalty. His sorrow gave me joy untold. His life for mine, His life for mine. How could it ever be that He would die, and God's Son would die to save a wretch like me? What love divine! He gave His life for mine. He was despised and rejected, stripped of His garment and oppressed. I am loved and accepted, and I wear a robe of righteousness. His life for mine, His life for mine. How could it ever be that He would die, that God's Son would die to save a wretch like me? What love divine! What love divine! He gave His life for mine. Thank you, Lord.
Beautiful, amazing performance. I love that. Great.
We thank
So
the
yeah,
Lord.
thank you from us, and definitely whoever's watching, they'll be enjoying, and also the message that you have. To be honest with you, apart from being a religious message, a Christian song, I think it has value of its own. Is how someone can, because it talks about, say for example, when the lockdown started, everyone was so scared and panic buying, and everything was going on. Everyone was thinking it's all about self-serving motives. But normally, people were buying toilet rolls. They're stacking up, say, for example, at home. But say the first line of this song was, what was the first line about the sin so you could be clean? What was that?
He became the sin. Now I'm clean.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So it's about how you can sacrifice your life for someone else. So say, for example, the NHS workers and the essential workers who have risked their lives during this lockdown, and they were almost like the people. So it doesn't have to be a religious message, but at the same time, it's a message of humanity, I think. So lovely. Thanks for sharing that one, Rue, with us. And we will be getting ready for probably your next music video or your live performance. In the meantime, I'll get back to Leah and come back to you again. So it's time for your short break. So yeah, I'll get back to Leah now and talk about some of Leah's own creation. Leah, the thing is, what I was wondering, say, for example, you are predominantly a composer and a songwriter as well, I would say. Can I call you a songwriter?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, a producer. And then you have very important role to play in academia now. You are a senior lecturer for Kingston University, and you're also a project leader of the Visconti studio.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the largest studios as well in London at the moment, along with a lot of big... So if you could introduce the studio to the audience, people who are watching now, and what the plan, and as a project leader, what it entails in terms of your responsibilities.
Sure. So Visconti Studio is a big working studio, large format, so it can hold an orchestra. We want to teach recording skills, production, engineering there, analog as well as digital, to keep the traditions alive, because I'm Australian, but I'm a big fan of London's recording culture, particularly in the last half of the 20th century. All the
Abbey
great
Road,
all that stuff. Abbey Road in the late 60s, and then Trident in the early 70s, and Olympic throughout the 70s, and all of the great personalities, the big producers and engineers that worked that scene. I care a lot about it, and I'm a fan of that music as well. And so part of it is about getting producers in who have all of that knowledge and experience, because traditionally the way that engineers and producers learned was by being assistant engineers and producers to those guys in the system. And so it was a very closed environment. It was only a select few people that were there, and those secrets were passed down.
Yeah.
Of course, that system's dead now because the industry has changed so much. And so we want to provide that type of learning environment for students. So
that's how we had all the great producers, like Chris Kimsey was there.
Right. Yeah.
And I had the fortune, I was very fortunate to see him, how he does the tape editing, which was
amazing. And there's just some things that you can't learn just by listening to a lecturer talk about them. You have to observe and be part of and do it yourself to learn. And so that's what the studio is all about as an education facility. I'm really proud of it. And we've got challenges like many studios have, but one privilege and advantage that we have is that we're based in an educational facility. We're attached to the university.
So are you talking in terms of the funds or the
I just
maintenance?
need that to stay alive. We don't have to book it out wall to wall with expensive sessions to keep it afloat, which is a challenge that a lot of studios have. And it also it's a place where we can preserve stuff as well. We can document. We can watch people work. We can film it. We can have researchers in there sitting in on sessions. And I care a lot about it, and I'm really pleased.
How did Tony Visconti got involved in it? That was definitely you, I think.
Yeah, I was friends with Tony for many years because through my fandom of David Bowie. So I'd been in to places. I traveled to New York to hang out with Bowie fans, and he'd be there, and we'd meet each other. And I think it was in 2009. I shook his hand, and I promised, because I was teaching at a different uni at the time, and I wanted him to come to a special talk, and he agreed to it. And then when the Visconti studio was being planned, I went to him asking him what equipment needs to be in there, and that turned into, well, would you like to use it once we set it up? And it turned into... But
it's named after him, so
it turned into it. It just kept on coming, and it sort of became like, well, what if we put your name on the door? Would you be happy for it to be your studio? Would you, he's like, yes. And then we ended up sort of awarding him an honorary doctorate at Kingston, and getting him on the payroll as a visiting professor, which is obviously great for us and great for the students. But it's cool for him too, because he gets to give back.
Does he do many of his projects, or sometimes he brings his own projects to?
Yeah, so it is literally his studio, and he can bring projects there if he wants to. And he's, he was going to be recording over the summer there had the COVID situation not happened. But we've recorded a few Tony's private projects there, which is really great. And obviously our students can be part of that, and our in-house can be part of that, which is priceless, really.
It was great, I would say, a privilege for me to sing when he was literally, the producer said, and he was telling me that what to do, and I was on the mic singing David Bowie's Space Oddity with Kingston University Orchestra. So it was amazing. We'll definitely have, and we'll watch the video as well together today.
Oh, yeah, good.
Yeah, so... And in terms of the instruments as well, because the Visconti studio has some amazing instruments, the vintage instruments, and something that's just modeled on. We get the plugins these days, but not the real thing. We have the real thing there. So what are the prized possessions? So what are you proud of there?
I'm proud of the tape machines because, obviously digital technology is a lot easier to use, and you can emulate the sonic aspect of tape, but what you don't get is the way of working and the way of seeing the creative process, and that to me is the valuable thing.
No computer screen, nothing, just
and it changes the way that you interact with music and the way that you think about it, and I think that's valuable and worth exploring for anyone. I'm not saying it's better or worse, it isn't. It's different. And then, you know,
the warmth. Let's talk about the warmth, because people would go, okay, the tape and the warmth, you know.
It can be, but I mean, you know, that's just idea. But we have an old sampler, a mellotron, which is a tape-based sampler. And again, a lot of people like, well, mellotrons are irrelevant because we can have a sampler, can do anything. But just having it makes you want to, I mean, as a keyboard player, I am, play it differently. You know, I interact with it differently. And the analog stuff, to me, it isn't irrelevant because a digital version exists. I think it just represents a different way of creating and a different way of thinking and conceptualizing how you're going to make music. And so for that reason, primarily...
Definitely the difference, I think, being, even though it's modeled in the digital world, but when you have it analog, I think when you're working with the analog hardware itself, then definitely there's some limitations which you have to overcome, isn't it?
Oh, you have to, yeah. It's very limited. And of course, limitations breed ingenuity and creativity because you push the limits. You're trying to see where the edges are. And I think that's creatively, that's really valuable. Yeah.
So on that note, I really love one of your music videos, Into Spokes. What's the idea behind that?
Well, I wanted to do something that included like cutlery sounds and small sounds. And I wanted something that I could integrate some of my tape recordings into, but that was not just, you know, a slow vaporwave beat, lo-fi thing. I wanted it to be like upbeat and kind of sharply edited and kind of precise. And it was just trying to sort of take the tape sound and the analog deal and just try and make it kind of digital in its construction. And so
did you literally make a cake for that as well?
Yeah, for the video we did. I went to my friend's a baker, restoration cake, and she made the key lime pie, and then we filmed it. And I thought that a baking video would work really well because it just feels like exciting kitchen sounds, like, you know, lots of stirring and cutting and all those little kitchen sounds that I've included in the song. So I thought, fine, let's make a cooking video.
Yeah, now now I'll be listening to it even more carefully, because when I was listening, the making of it and how the music was playing with it, how it was synced, it was interesting. But now that you mention what the sounds are from, or where the sounds are from, so I definitely be more interested. Let's have a listen to Into Spokes. You're ready with that, hopefully?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it will play Into Spokes.
Yeah, Into Spokes, exactly. No, I think, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And you also get to learn how to make the pie. Which is
So it's twofold. It gives me an idea. I was thinking it can start altogether a new genre, which could be like recipe music.
Cooking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because nowadays people, these cooking videos you see on YouTube, they're very popular. They get so many subscribers. Even if you say, for example, you make music, you might struggle to get 1,000 at some point. But people who are making probably just a cake or a pie, they might have million by now. So I think something to think about for composers, that they can think about making music for cooking videos, probably.
Yeah.
That's a very good idea. It's a lovely video. So what was the idea behind that one? I mean, you were just thinking, what came first?
Well,
Definitely the music.
I had the tape recordings. Yeah, I had the bits and pieces. It was like a wonky keyboard part that I recorded, and I had it on tape, and I played it a little bit backwards, slower. There's a slowed down part. There's a sped up part as well. And then I put those bits together, and I just wanted to do, I mean, Bird Rib's quite 90s in its aesthetic. So there's a lot of sort of references to trip hop and to IDM, kind of like Square Pusher and Aphex Twin and that kind of thing.
Right.
So it was a bit homage to, you know, Richard D. James sort of era. So the kind of quick edits and lots of stutter edits, lots of filter treatments, but keeping it quite pure and quite upbeat and nothing too sinister was what I was trying to go for. And then I was really focused on the aesthetic of it. And then when I was listening to the finished product, because it had so much kitchen Foley in there, I was like, oh yeah, it'd be great to do a cooking video.
Did you have to team up with someone for the graphics as well?
Oh no, I did that myself. God, yeah, no, I won't do that again. That was like I downloaded.
No, it wasn't bad, because I loved that part, especially where you put, I think it was one of the cutleries that you put inside, and it was like, so devoured completely. It opened in mouth and it just went inside. That was really good.
Yeah,
I love that.
I was just trying to make it cute.
It goes on to show that how many hats nowadays composer has to wear. You can be a producer, you have to work on your videos as well. Yeah,
it's easier than ever to produce content, and because everyone's self-producing content, the production values don't need to be 100% up there in order to be entertaining. I think that there's a gray area now where people are just creating stuff, and that's certainly the philosophy that I'm using. And I downloaded DaVinci Resolve and taught myself how to animate those frames. But you know, I think I think when we're talking about putting a video up on YouTube, if it's a bit trashy and a bit funny, I think it's fine. You know, we're not going on MTV anymore. You know, the context can change and the level can change.
But still, on a totally on a different spectrum, I would see people who are on the other side of the spectrum who would be really stressing on, I have to have this many DSLRs. Even for podcasting and live streaming.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, people are like, with their sound, they have outboard gear where they're processing their mics and all those things. So it's really interesting to know. But at the same time, you're right. Because even when mainstream music videos are being made with iPhone 6 or iPhone 5, and no one can tell even.
The plebs are seizing the means of production.
Exactly. And what the finished product is all about. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, and it's whether it's engaging and whether people want to engage with it is, you know, that's the thing.
So are you thinking about getting into the YouTube video thing as well? Like,
I don't think I have the time. I think
subscriber race.
Yeah, if I wasn't an academic full time and if I wasn't doing everything else I'm trying to do, I probably would, because I like the idea of sharing things, and what I get in terms of a kick out of what I do, you know, what ticks the box for me is when people engage with and listen to and enjoy what I've created, and I live for that. And if I was doing that full time, then I think I would be creating more visual things for people to engage with, in addition to the music things, but I just don't have, it takes a lot, you know.
It brings me to the question, I mean, say for example, as I was asking before, I started asking that, but I think I diverted. So you're a composer, producer, and songwriter as well. But in academia, how do you divide your time, and do you find that there's an extra pressure? I see that you're a dedicated academic, and so long as a professor or a teacher, you're really very dedicated. But how do you divide your time, and do you sometimes feel that it's too much? Is it stressful?
It's I love being an academic because the nature of my field is creativity. So that gives me an excuse to be creative because that's my research. So I'm lucky in that sense that I'm not trying to make time for my music. My research is my music. So in that sense, it all kind of coheres together nicely.
And also it's interesting probably to come across with a lot of interesting creations as well from other people, like young students at the age of 18, 19, 20.
Actually, I would say not necessarily being in the uni. I think this is true for all teaching. I think teaching enriches me as a musician so much. And I think if I wasn't teaching and I was just trying to make music, I think it wouldn't be as good. It wouldn't be as enriched. And it's not just, interacting with kids who keep me current on aesthetics or what's cool and whatnot. It's not that. I think what it is about being able to appreciate people's creativity and their journey and be inspired by them and be around young creative people who are very talented, particularly the ones that make it to uni. I mean, to get to uni, to get to the point where you're at that age and you're committing yourself to this investment in yourself, you're going to go into debt, or you're going to spend 3 or 4 years of your life really trying to become more masterful at what you're doing, to try and get that mastery. I'm inspired by that. I want to be around like those people all the time. And so that feeds me creatively, and that inspires me creatively. And of course, I find it the whole situation, being an academic, which by definition is you just get to be thoughtful. That's what it is. It's just literally just thinking about the thing you love and trying to understand it better.
So do you feel like you mentally rediscover yourself? And every now and then when there's say for example, now the undergraduate students, there will be a new batch will be coming in. There might be someone who comes up with a lot of different ideas. So do you find that you rediscover some new ideas and something that's already in you probably have forgotten? Say for example, the LEAH, who was at the University of Queensland, you were learning or studying classical music. At the time, probably you never thought about teaching, did you?
I was always teaching piano. That's how that was my part-time job when I was younger. I was a piano teacher.
But being an academic, did you think about that?
No, I didn't anticipate the symbiotic relationship that I have with my students and how wonderfully inspiring it is working with them, all of them. I'm not sort of, making constant reappraisals of who I am. I'm 41. I am as it comes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I try and be open, and I try and be ready to be proven wrong. I'm trying to explore more and be shown more. I certainly don't come into the classroom pretending like I know it all. I think actually the more I go, the more time I spend in this career, I feel the less I know.
Already, I think Kingston University's music department, it has such a relaxed and creative environment, I would say. And
it's
all the teachers.
Creativity.
It's very relaxed, and people are like, you can sit in whatever way you like, you talk in whatever way you like. Even the teachers are like that. Yeah. So it's really, because I have to mention Alex as well, Alex Evans.
Yeah,
he's another very relaxed person. Then we have Mike Gatt. So I have to mention, because these people are really, they're part of that culture and they're keeping it alive. So I'll go back to Rue now, and I'd like to continue because we still have to talk about KUSO, Kingston University Stylophone Orchestra. And there are some other interesting topic that LEAH is involved with, and we'll be discussing about that. So we'd like to get back to Rue, and straight away, Rue, you had quite a break. I'm giving you quite a lot of breaks so you can,
Thank you.
recover. I mean, I know, because the songs are amazing, the live performance that you're doing is really soulful. But I would like to get into a music video, first of all, to start with. And this is that song. If I really don't want to make a mess with the name. So it's What Wondrous Love Is This? So what does it talk about? This is a hymn or modern Christian music? How would you categorize it?
It's a hymn.
It's a hymn.
Yeah.
So what wondrous love is this? Do you get to sing it in a church, or how do you perform it normally?
No, it's not. It's not widely used in churches. But it's an old hymn.
So how do you normally, say for example, that's an interesting question that comes to mind. That what's the sources of all this music and where you're learning from? Is there anyone you are taking it from, or there are sources like you can find them on YouTube? How do you learn these songs, or where do you find them?
Do you mean how I pick the songs, which ones I want to sing?
Or even say, for example, there's definitely someone is singing that song, and then you have to learn, that the melody and how the song is composed and everything. Where do you find them? how the
YouTube.
material is there? Is it on YouTube or everywhere?
It's I look for it on YouTube personally,
Okay, all right.
but of course there's other platforms.
But there's a way of archiving them, that they're archived somewhere, is it?
Oh yeah, there's hymn books. Yeah.
In books. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we are ready with the song. Let's have a listen. What Wondrous Love Is This? That's performed by Rue.
That's me.
That's you, yeah. Okay, so we are ready with the song. And sometimes, that's the thing. We keep on going, talking about the song, and suddenly you see that it pops up. That's magic for us. So, yeah, the song is ready.
What wondrous love is this? Oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this? Oh my soul. What wondrous love is this that caused the Lord of bliss to bear a dreadful curse for my soul, to bear a dreadful curse for my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath God's righteous ground, Christ laid aside his crown from my soul, from my soul. Christ laid aside his crown for my soul. Oh, to God and to the Lamb, I will sing, I will sing. To God and to the Lamb, I will sing. To God and to the Lamb, who is the great I am. When millions join the theme, I will sing, I will sing. When millions join the theme, I will sing. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on, I sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing his love for me. And through eternity, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And through eternity, I'll sing.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Amazing. It was really a lovely performance. And I know it doesn't do justice sometimes to the audio. Say, for example, it's already compressed on YouTube, then it comes to the live show as well on the television or from online. So it doesn't. But I'd like to read some comments in the meantime. We have quite a lot of people watching, and most of them are musicians. That's really great to see. And Maddie Misha says, great conversation. So about the music tech thing we were talking about. And we have a very renowned songwriter from South Asia, from Bangladesh, Latiful Islam Shibli, enjoying your show. And there's someone from Toronto. It's called Tanzila. She says, hope you're doing well today, enjoying the show. Shakil Ahmed, Pure Music Show. And then we have Tanzila again, lovely. So thanks for the lovely messages and the comments. And we had some lovely calls. As you already know that the number is on the screen. So just in case, if you feel like giving a call to us and sharing any of your opinions about the show or anything that you liked about the performers and the guests we have, if you'd like to share your opinion and share what you liked in their music, and it'll be an inspiration for them as well. Definitely, you know, the creative people, they come from a very personal space, but still, when it's been shared with people, it's a really vulnerable place to be in, that they are sharing something very personal, a journey out in public, and sometimes how people take it, it's a message that's very important to them. Then it's a word of inspiration. So let's have Leah back on the studio so we can talk about something very interesting. And I know that something very close to her heart. So we'd like to have a discussion with Leah about her current project. Because I know that Leah is at the moment writing a monograph for Bloomsbury about David Bowie's late work.
Yes.
So when did it start, Leah, your love for David Bowie?
Oh gosh, yeah, at university actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like a music student. I was pretty snobby about, you know, I was really into music that had good chops. Like, you know, I really liked Sting and the Police. I really liked Weather Report. I really liked music that was technical.
So in Australia, is it more about the English artists or the British musicians or the American ones?
It's very Brit-centric because we're a Commonwealth country, so we get a lot of our culture from England. But yeah, there's American stuff there too. But I was just really into technical, good, you know, fancy key changes, polyrhythms, you know, all that clever stuff.
As always.
Yeah, as music students are.
Yeah.
And then I took a lecture in pop music history. And a lot of it was about David Bowie. And I was just really, really entranced. I was really into it. It was about what we talked about before, about this way of painting a picture with the sound and the way he looks and the voices that he uses, the strange words that he uses, everything together. To me was just something really different and not what I had studied and not what I had known and not what I had pretended to like. And so from there, I kind of became a big fan.
I mean, how it all fell in place at particular times. See, now you're the project leader of Visconti Studio because you met Tony Visconti and then David Bowie. It's amazing, isn't it? And now you're writing this monograph.
Yes.
So how did it come about?
So I wanted to write about Bowie for Bloomsbury for their 33 1/3 series, which are these small little books about one album. And I pitched one many years ago for for Scary Monsters, which is 1980. And I made it to the finals and I didn't get it. And so when Black Star happened, his final record, I thought, no, I'm going to write about this. This is really important. That proposal went in and that developed into a bigger project with Bloomsbury, who wanted me to talk about everything that he wrote in the last 3 years of his life. So he did his comeback album and then the musical and then Black Star. And so looking at it as a late period, as a particular type of creativity. And I'm really excited by that. I've got access to many of the people that were involved. I've just done some podcasts with Donnie McCaslin, who is the saxophonist, band leader for Black Star. And of course, I'm friends with Tony. And through Tony, I get access to all the players and everybody. So I've got a good research angle in the sense that I've got lots of good access. And also, as an academic, as a musicologist, I've got ways of analyzing music, not just the lyrics, not just the cultural thing, but actually the sound and the way that it was created and the production methods. So in terms of all the world looking at the way he works, I'm really loving writing it. It's wonderful.
Yeah, so
I'm doing
burning
it
a lot
at
of midnight oil at the moment.
yeah, I'm writing it at night, and then I wake up at like 1 in the afternoon, and then I yeah. So
when do you think you'll be ready?
I have to hand it in to the publishers in December.
Okay.
So I've got a
You're
few.
there. Yeah, you're working. I mean, along with the deadline, and you think you're there?
Yeah, well,
How's it
you
going?
know, I hope so. I'm working. I've handed in a draft of the first section, and we'll see.
No, it's very interesting. Whenever I see anything with David Bowie, the first thing that comes to my mind is you. I mean, I was telling you probably the other day I was in a bookshop. I saw something about David Bowie's, all the albums that was it's talking about.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I should buy it for Leah probably. But then you told me that you already have it. I mean, not
Probably
surprising. Yeah, definitely.
I probably already have
Yeah.
it.
So, and there's another cover song that you've done recently. Of
Yeah,
David Bowie.
so usually every year there's this party that Bowie fans put on, and we raise money for a charity, for the Terence Higgins Trust, which is an AIDS research charity. And I used to perform back in the day. I'd show up with my keyboard and I'd play. And this year people asked everybody to do something remotely. And so I found this song that Bowie wrote in the
Tired
60s.
of My Life.
Yeah, Tired of My Life. And it never was released. And he actually changed it into the song that he ended up releasing in 1980.
It's a
called
lovely song.
It's No Game. And it's crazy. Like the song that it ended up becoming is totally different to the original. And I just thought, while we're in
So
lockdown,
which one did you do? Which version did you perform?
Oh, I did the original one, the
You
first
did the
one.
original one, okay.
Like,
So I think it's time we have a listen to that one. So
Okay.
Tired of My Life, that's performed.
it's a good
and-
lockdown anthem.
Yeah, lockdown, and also we get to hear you sing as well.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
let's have a listen and also watch, and we'll see Dudley as well.
My dog.
I mean, he's such a behaved.
he's
I
a
mean,
good boy.
he's a very good boy. How old is he now?
11.
11.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very serious looking, very good boy, and he literally a very good companion, as I can say. So, okay, we'll be listening to Tired of My Life, and it's a David Bowie cover by Leah. Yeah, that's the awkward silence. Okay. Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, this is live as well. Live in 4 takes.
Really? Oh my God. And that's when you edited, I mean, 2 things.
I don't know why, but I'm tired of my life. Pain is over me, overloading. I don't know why, but you're trying to be kind. Take off your silver smile, throw your head back and I don't believe, but I'm trying to decide which game is best for me, which can I bear? You don't perceive, so I'm leading you away from where you've never been, no returning. So throw a rock upon the road and it breaks into pieces. Shake a branch upon the snow and the sun is defeated. Pull the curtains on yesterday and it seems so much later. Put a bullet in my brain and I make all the papers. Oh, don't know why, but I'm tired of my life. The clouds are in my eyes, overtaking.
He's a really good boy, isn't he? He's a good
Yeah.
dog. And that was some
And
birdseed in a jar, a pickle jar.
And
Gotcha.
also, I love how you end the video because one screen at a time, it
Right.
blacks out. It's really lovely. I mean, how it was made. So that's interesting creation. So we have come towards the end of the show, almost, and I would like to talk at this point the Kingston University Stylophone Orchestra.
Yeah.
That was your brainchild. I think it's a chance conversation with Dubrick. That's how it came about. How did it happen?
Yeah, they came over and like delivered all these stylophones for an archive, and I blurted out, we should make an orchestra, and then it sort of became true. I mean, it was weird because, you know, it's hard to get people to get excited, like, would you like to join our stylophone orchestra? But the people that did join were just really up for it, and I think we discovered together.
I was one of them.
Yeah, and I think together we
Great
discovered
experience.
that it was actually quite unique and special and had potential together, which was really exciting through that first year. Kind
And
of
the uniqueness is that I think we are the only ensemble of its kind in the world, isn't it?
the only one. Yeah,
So that's how great is that? I mean,
exactly.
we are the first one in history. So I would love to be a part of that. And so we had done this. I would like to share this story. Probably even you didn't know, because I was supposed to sing for that Space Oddity because we've been singing and we've been performing even in Queen's Theatre. We had done a performance. They're one of my favorites as well. And a lot of incidents afterwards, as you know. And I remember Jess at this point about the whole incident, what happened after that. So if she would be watching it later, she would know what we are talking about. So the performance at the time, what we're doing, it was a 50th anniversary of this single.
Yes, just the timing of it was perfect. It was the 50th anniversary of the song.
And then you told me that we'd be... David Bowie would be producing, sorry, not David Bowie, Tony Visconti, he'd be producing it.
Yeah,
because
he
that's
was
not
the producer on the original record 50 years ago.
He was or he wasn't?
He was, yeah.
He was. So, yeah, so that was once in a lifetime kind of an experience for me. And at the time I was traveling in my country back home, South Asia in Bangladesh. And when I was totally flat with fever, 101, 102, I lost my voice and a lot of things were happening. I was thinking, oh my God, why is this happening to me at this time? And I was having medication, all this weird medication. I was just pushing myself to get recover from the whole fever and temperature, everything. I came back the day before, I think, the recording. And at the time I was okay. I was recovering. So I was thinking, oh my God, why don't I have my 100% in me?
Oh, I didn't know this. Oh, no.
Yeah, but it came out really nice. And when I came, I mean, when I went in front of the mic and he was telling me to do that, do this, and everyone was, Ershad, don't get scared. You'll be okay. I said, okay, it is what it is. I mean, I have to say, I can't escape it now. I've taken up the challenge, so it's be there. So I think we should listen to the song, and that's the Space Oddity cover that we have already. So in the meantime, you can tell us what really happened and how did Tony Visconti got interested in this project?
Well, Tony was involved with the company that makes stylophones. Anyway, he was the judge in their 50th anniversary Space Oddity competition. That he was judging everyone's, like, that people were making a track with a stylophone. A stylophone is this like very small analog synth. It's like a toy almost.
Yeah.
But Bowie played it on the original.
Well, you definitely make it work. It doesn't sound like a toy anymore, to be honest, after
I don't think
what we had done to it.
No, not to me. It's a virtuoso instrument for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was something that Bowie had used, and then Tony had produced it. So there's this tenuous connection between the instrument and Bowie's legacy. So that's why they came over, and that's why they gave us all the instruments. So the Tony connection was already there. But the orchestra was my crazy idea, and I'm really glad we did it. I hope, you know, once the lockdown's over, we get to reform the group and go further with what we're doing and record.
Yeah, definitely. We had a lot of new songs, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think recording is great for the stylophone because I think we sound great in that studio. I think this version.
Oh, that's the song.
Yeah.
And that's me. I love that spacesuit. I have it with me now. Thanks for the gift.
Have it.
This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in the most peculiar way. And the stars are very different today. For here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. I'm past 100,000 miles. I'm feeling very still, and I think my spaceship knows which way to go. Tell my wife I love her very much. She knows. Ground control to Major Tom. Your circuit's in the something wrong. Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear? Am I floating round a tin can, far above the moon? Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do.
Wow.
It's just making me remember the day we videoed.
We definitely have to go back to the studio after the lockdown. Definitely. Yeah, with some new compositions. It was
did a very
lovely.
good
Yeah.
job.
So, Leah, thank you for today and thanks for making the time. And it was lovely talking to you and get to know more about the creations and the compositions that you have done.
My
And what
pleasure.
was your experience on today's show? I mean, what do you feel like?
Oh, it's been wonderful. I've really enjoyed Rue's performances, just wonderful singing. So that's been a real pleasure. And it's always a pleasure talking to you, Ershad. I'm going to miss you at Kingston. You've been fantastic.
I'll be around. I have a deal with Wilson, by the way, that I'll be at Visconti Studio overnight recording and everything. So I'll be around. Yeah.
Oh, I'll see you there. Good.
Yeah, definitely. And Leah, the thing is, lockdown, what you have taken, definitely the music industry will have a lot of changes. We'll be saying definitely is coming, going ahead. And on top of that one, say the live music scene is not the same. It's not going to be the same probably for quite some time. So what do you think the way forward? And do you have, or definitely people are talking about it? What do you think? Is there any idea? Or
I don't know. I don't know if I've got anything very positive to say. It's a bad situation because the scene was so precarious to begin with. They don't have the reserves or the resilience to survive a year of not working. It's frankly it's a whole industry full of freelancers, and if they're not working, they're unemployed. And so that's a big problem.
It's all over the world, basically. It breaks my heart to see normally a lot of bargains, definitely. People who like to buy different gears and new instrument like studio gears. I mean, when I was buying, I could find, but it's sad to see that people are closing down the whole studio. They have the
studios, venues, and all the people that work in the ecosystem. You know, the sound people, the light people, the bar staff at venues. I mean, it's not just music; it's theatre, it's all live arts. It's a problem. The only thing I can think that might be a silver lining for music is that everyone will suddenly realize how much they need live music and how valuable it is, and they might just, you know, support the industry a little bit more and go out to the smaller venues, go out to their local band nights, go out to smaller classical concerts because they want to see the scene survive. And maybe that once things open up, maybe people will value it a little bit more. You know, it's like you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And the idea of these venues closing for good is really worrying. If they can survive, maybe there might be some green shoots of life at the other side, I hope.
Because during the lockdown, I would say musicians all around the world, to start with, even when the crisis started, they had been the source of entertainment. Even the big names you talk about. Like Keith Urban used to be there most of the time. I've seen his live performance. He'd be there. Nicole Kidman is dancing around. And it was fun. So the thing is that these live musicians and all the musicians and creative artists, they had been a source of inspiration for people because there are a lot of mental health issues.
This, right?
That's what we're doing as well today. I mean, the In Harmony with Ershad has been, I mean, from the first day or the first episode, that's what we've been trying to do. So, and Rue, thank you as well for being on the show and for your performances. And how do you, I mean, what was the experience of lockdown and what you have taken and how it will help you going forward and what you have learned from it?
Thanks for having me first. And
always a pleasure.
The lockdown. It's been tough, but there's always a bright side, and I like to look on that one. If the videos that you showed today, they would actually not be there if not for the lockdown. It was supposed to be a live concert. So let's look on the
It's a blessing in disguise, definitely. So thank you for being with us today, and Leah and Rue. And I would like to take leave of you, both of you. Some people who have been watching, all our lovely viewers watching the show today on Air Television Network In Harmony with Ershad. As you know, every Saturday at 6 p.m. That's when I come with this show and with amazing musicians, creative personalities, creative artists, and mostly music composers, producers. So it was no exception today. And it was lovely to have this time and having this conversation with Leah and also with Rue. And I hope you'll be keeping safe and stay well, whatever happens, come what may, and wherever you're watching from and whichever part you're in at the moment, you're safe. And I hope you'll stay well and have a great time and hope to see you again next week. And whatever you're doing, the thing is that, main thing is that stay happy and try to bring the happiness in your life and create the happiness for yourself and find a meaning for yourself. Because without a meaning, without a purpose in life, there's no way that you can come across and you'll be getting on the other side alive. So that's one of the main messages. in harmony with Ershad. So on this note, I'd like to sign off tonight. See you again next week on a Saturday at 6 p.m. Take care.